No, I'm not going to pull out of Connecticut immediately, run scared.
Since he showed up in 2019, touting diversionary feeding experiments as a means of reducing human and bear conflicts, Dr. Charles Munn, who operates wild animal photo safaris in South America, has been a lightning rod of controversy in small-town Connecticut.
A number of people don't even want to return my contacts to try to talk about this. Maybe they're scared of the truth.
With his eyes on Connecticut's nearly 1,200 wild black bears, Dr. Munn and Barkhamstead resident Mark Brault have paired up to replicate the South American success in the Nutmeg State. They've been trying to get a controversial business called Nature Havens off the ground here on Mark's Highview Road property.
And they get to view wildlife and learn about it and learn some new solutions, some new ideas that they have not heard.
Nature Havens guaranteed bear sightings and charged tourists to learn about and take pictures of wildlife. They say the business is educational and will bring in tax dollars.
We don't have to work in Connecticut, but Connecticut seems like a state that could use some more jobs.
But the town of Barkhamstead and the state of Connecticut has accused Nature Havens of ruining quality of life and baiting bears with food. Area pictures of bear scat with sunflower seed that is allegedly not a naturally occurring food source.
Are you feeding bears?
No, we are not. But in fact, they have produced no evidence that there is unusual bear activity.
But the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection says bears tagged with GPS collars have been returning to the same area in and around Nature Havens, as evidenced by this map tracking a bear's movement for about 2 months.
We've had evidence of bears displaying unusual behaviors that we typically associate with concentrated feeding.
Which is why the state says they've had to do this. Luring bears inside a steel drum using donuts. Then scaring them. A scientifically peer-reviewed tactic called aversive conditioning. Hazing habituated bears so they won't return.
These are accepted wildlife practices that can save the life of a bear.
But now Nature Havens is calling out the state for hypocrisy. They provided Fox 61 with this video, which Nature Havens says was shot from a public area. It shows deep volunteer wildlife conservationist Ginny Apple feeding bears in her own yard on several occasions throughout October of 2020. Apple was suspended by Deep pending a review of evidence.
This evidence being brought to us is the first that we've known of this person engaging in this feeding activity since they completed that program. So this is news to us.
On publicly viewable Facebook comments, Ginny Apple has accused Nature Havens of putting bait out since early spring. Fox 61 knocked on Ginny's door. Ginny, it's Matt Karen at Fox 61 News. There's video of you that allegedly shows you feeding bears. Can we talk with you about it? No answer, but Ginny emailed a statement saying she put out seed in frustration to attract bears away from a dangerous, illegal, and egregious situation at Nature Havens, saying, quote, "It will not happen again." On Deep's own website, bears should never be fed.
It seems a little confusing to be preaching not to feed bears at the same time you have a bear buffet behind your kitchen.
Meanwhile, Munn is also calling out the state for trespassing on Nature Havens property, which is abutted by property owned by the Heartland Land Trust. Deep officials trying to block and then move a Nature Havens tree camera. An argument ensues.
You're trespassing. You should know where the property line is. Please check it.
Pin's right there.
That's one pin, sir.
This small-town scuffle in Connecticut's wilderness has escalated.
The state police officer authorized the movement of the camera.
We will be pursuing that further.
And alleged bear baiting isn't the only reason Nature Havens was shut down. The town has accused them of deceptive marketing, being improperly zoned, and having illegal structures. Now, the state says that they've had to adversely condition 4 bears here, and they say that any bear proven to be a threat to a member of the public may have to be euthanized. Reporting in Barkhamstead, Matt Karen, Fox 61 News.